Hey, my loves. It's me, ABSD, and welcome to the Inner Dialogue podcast. I wasn't really expecting to be podcasting by myself today. I had a guest scheduled for this spot, and something must have come up in their schedule. And I have so much love to give and grace as well. And if they get scheduled back on the podcast, would love to have them and love to hear everything they have to share. Because I know life happens, and it from the receiving end of that, I do have a lot of grace to give. And I also gave 20 minutes of my time sitting and waiting. And my big thing with not showing up is letting the other person know, I think is where my heart is at with it. Again, I know that shit happens and life rolls forward. And there are some moments where you don't have any space to let the person know that you're not going to be there. And that's where grace fills in those gaps, right? All we can do is our best. And there are some days that our best isn't enough for every single person, but we still have to just know that we've done our best. And truly, I believe that God fills in the rest. And that's okay, and I'm sitting here loving myself through this moment. And I don't have any hard feelings or even resentment for them for not showing up into this space. It actually was a complete stranger to me. And I am excited about having strangers on the podcast and creating new connections and friendship through this space, and also giving space for the voice of others' inner dialogue. And I also know the space is not for everybody. And the universe works in beautiful ways, and that is always going to wiggle out the people who are not meant to be in this space. And again, if they are meant to, totally happy to have them in here. I don't really know why I hit the record button. I think I just was in the podcasting frame of mind and wanted to sit in this space because I love this space. I love cultivating this space. In 11 days, my podcast will be a year old. And over the last year of my life, I am irrecognizable, truly. I'm not the same person that I was a year ago. And for many reasons, I'm grateful for that. But also, I'm just so damn proud of myself for continuing on this growth journey, this healing journey, and processing through my shit and continuing to grant myself grace in the process and to give myself permission to grow through it. I have grown through it in this podcast. I have continued to grow each and every moment that I've continued to show up in this space and to put myself in uncomfortable positions. I have grown so greatly from that. And even though some of these moments in this space make me cringe at my core, listening back to them, I still have so much appreciation for that version of myself that continued to show up anyway, that didn't care whether or not it was cringeworthy or corny or uncomfortable, continued to show up. And today, I'm continuing to show up. With this being the 48th episode, it is Thursday, April 18th. It's 3:55 p.m. And I'm fucking grateful. I just finished my second week nannying, and I started with a new family. Obviously, it's my second week, and I really love this family. I love the dynamics in the house and the baby, and I just love the schedule that I'm on and how it's giving me more structure in my day and in my life. Like today, I bulk edited reels and got them already like captioned and ready to post 9 reels. And It took me over an hour and a half to do, but I did it. And I sat in that space and I did it today while the baby was napping, which was kick ass to be able to do both. And then in my second break, I naturally watched American Idol. I haven't watched American Idol since I was a kid living in my parents' house. And I don't know why. Some clips have popped up on Facebook for me recently, and I was watching some auditions, and then I saw it when I was searching for a show, and it sparked my interest. And it really is a cool show to watch now, especially with the new judges. I don't know how new they are now, but they're new to me because, again, I haven't watched the show in a long time. But it's cool to watch how this show has really become like a coming of age story for most of the people who are going through it, because they're growing in their confidence. They're being put in uncomfortable situations. They're out of their norm and they are performing and showing themselves and being vulnerable. And it is uncomfortable to do that. And they talk about that. The contestants talk about how it's uncomfortable and that they're fearful. But then what's on the other side of that, when they finish the performance and they sit there and they're smiling and they're getting the judges' critiques or their praises or both, and they're smiling because they got to the other side of that uncomfortability. And what's on the other side of vulnerability is courage. And you can see this courage that is building in them every single time that they show up and they sing and they give it their all. And I strive to do that in my daily life every day, to just show up and give it my all. And it feels awesome to be able to do that. I really love being able to show up for myself in that way. The way the universe has been working through my life, I'm in awe. I'm in awe of the universe. It's really incredible. And I don't know where it's going and I don't know how it's getting there, but I also know that I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. And I'm going to keep showing up. So today, I don't really have a lot to say. I just wanted to show up. And I need I just I need space for that sometimes. Just to give myself the grace to show up in whatever way that comes about. And honestly, as I'm sitting here right now, I realize it's probably for the best that my guest ended up not being available at this time today, because I don't feel like I'm my best self. And again, the universe works in mysterious ways. And so, whatever reason that worked out the way that it did, I can feel that it's working out best for both of us. And that brings me comfort. And I also just have so much love to give that person for whatever stopped them from showing up, and for myself for receiving that. It goes both ways. And so tonight we have couples therapy, and we have started doing a date night afterwards, because we used to go in the middle of the day, but now I work during the middle of the day. And so we switched it. And luckily there was a 5 o'clock spot. And so now we go to dinner afterwards, and it's become a date night for us. And that's become really nice to have that ritual and that scheduled into our day, our week, I should say. And it excites me to get to Thursday, get to date night, get to therapy, because I love going to couples therapy. It's been really good for us and our relationship, and just communicating better, and also figuring out how to hear what the other person needs and also give that to them, and how to change some of the structures in our relationship so that it just fits better all around with what both of us need. And that's been really productive. It's also been great to clear out some of the baggage that both of us have been carrying since we got married and just dating, and also some of our childhood baggage that is attached to our relationship. And we love our couples therapist. She's great and has just been a really positive space for me. And I want to say us, but again, I don't want to speak for my partner. So for me, and I really love going into that space each week. And it's something I now look forward to. And while we also do our own individual work in therapy, it is a beautiful space to have and cultivate a place of vulnerability and trust with each other and this third person who helps us mediate some conversations. And at the end of each session, I just realize how deeply I am in love with my partner and how lucky I am to have such a supportive partner as him, and that I would bend over backwards to create happiness in his life, even though that's not my responsibility. And that's something I've had to learn, is that I can't control his outcomes, that's only for him to control. And in turn, that's helped me realize that for other people, I had better boundaries when it came to other people, but partnership was something I was struggling with. And to be able to see that clearer and to know that it's not my responsibility, and to also take a step back and not put my thoughts and opinions and thinking differently and mindset perspectives on him all the time, has been really great for our relationship. And I know that it's something that I'm continuously working on because it's continuously happening in my life. But I also know this work is not happening in every single person's life that I interact with. I'm not ignorant to that. And do I want all people to be working on themselves in this way? Yeah, because I think it's really valuable. And what's on the other side is just a lot more joy and happiness for your life and love for yourself, which I think is worth it for all humans. But that's not my decision to make for all humans. And I've started to remove that weight from my shoulders because it's not my responsibility to do. And I'm going to continue showing up as me and in my authenticity, and whatever follows that is what follows, because I know that I'm coming from a place of love. And so I'm cultivating love as I go. And that is something I am going to root in and let myself feel proud of, because I am proud of myself. It is something to be proud of. I think about myself a year ago when I started this podcast and how much fear that I had, and how growing through the process of creating something of my own in this form and fashion felt, and just how much this space has grown. And truly, just in 2024, how much my podcast has grown. I mean, it's April 18th, and my podcast has already doubled in size of listeners since the end of 2023. And I think that in itself is just a testament of how, when you keep going, the seeds are sown and then they start to bloom. And it's a beautiful tumble effect, a beautiful domino effect that happens. And that's the karma that you're putting into the world, that I'm going to keep trying, I'm going to keep showing up no matter what the result is, because I'm doing my best, and I'm just going to keep making it better and better as I go. And I think about this space, and I really have continued to make it better and better. And I know that I will continue doing that. And it's cool because now my energy is kind of flowing in a lot of different areas, and I'm figuring out my shit as always. And there are some things that I don't really feel ready to bring into this space fully, but I'm figuring it out and I'm navigating all of it as I go. And again, just as I say in this space, like, I'm giving myself grace, because that's what I need. I need a lot of grace in my life. And I have lost some of my key spiritual aspects that I want to start integrating back, and meditation being one of them. Didn't think that would come up in this space today, but hell, I didn't know what would come up. And I haven't meditated in quite some time. I meditate in other ways now, but not like intentional sitting down and meditating. And I know that that's something that would really help me on this spiritual practice and in my spiritual life, but I have a block towards it for some reason. I fear what is actually deep inside of me and connected to the divine, my highest self in an aspect. I don't think I fear my highest self. I fear what other guides are hanging out with my highest self, because when I open myself up to that, I don't know what that is going to bring. And the unknown can be scary sometimes. if you follow along, you heard me channel light language, and I had not done that in the podcast before, but had felt called to do that. And light language is the language of the soul. All things that have a soul carry their own light language. So plants, trees, humans, animals, everything carries spirits, everything carries a language of the soul, archangels, all of it. And so a while back, I was channeling light language, and this like coldness and stiffness came over me, and I balled up in fetal position. And then as I was speaking, it was this being started to come to life and become. And then I transitioned into channeling something else. And like a month or two later, that same being, it was the same feeling, came back into my body. And this time it was like not as stiff because it was warmed up a little bit. And it was almost like feeling into what it felt like to live in a human body. And during that time, this being communicated with me saying that I have access to them, whoever them is, but I'm not ready to fully embody it yet. And there will be a day where I am fully ready to embody it, and that I will be able to connect and channel them whenever I need to. But at this time, my mind, body, and soul aren't ready. And I know that I'm working on some other human pieces and ness in my life that, I mean, I'm navigating my gender still, right? Like, yes, I posted a podcast episode about that, but I'm still navigating it actively in my life. And even in my brain, transitioning my pronouns has been something that I struggle with on a daily basis. And I, in my head, talk about myself as they, them, but sometimes she or her pops up. And I try my hardest and I'm doing my best. And I know that that's enough, but it happens. And so I'm navigating that actively in my life right now. And I know that this is not yet available to me, but I know that it's coming. And I think because I know that it's coming, I am stopping myself from meditating because I'm fearful of what that actually could be and bring into my life, and how that will be a tool for my future. And sometimes things that we know can be so terrifying in our brains because there is unknown attached to it, or also this like grandness or this lightness, whatever it feels like inside, that stops us from actually moving towards it, even tr- to trust the timing, right? The divine timing of it. And right now, I'm just ignoring that it exists altogether, ignoring it. And that's my humanness, because I don't know if I have space for that right now. And it's not that I don't know. I know I don't have space for that right now. I know that I have to focus on other things at this moment of time in my life, but I also know that adding things to my spiritual practice daily or weekly, or just starting and doing it a couple of days a week, it doesn't have to be every day right now, is going to benefit me to get to the place where I will one day be ready for that fully embodiment of whatever that is. But right now, I'm not taking any steps towards that. And as I'm sitting in this space, I'm like, damn, I know why I needed to be in this space today. All of this. I needed all of this to be downloaded inside of my consciousness. Fuck. Okay. I get it. I get it. It's been a dark and dreary day today, which my emotions and my mental is feeling that. And it just, my day was a little bit longer because we didn't get to go outside and take a walk and hang out in the park and look at the clouds. So I'm just feeling that internally. And it's interesting that this comes up of the need and desire to meditate, because I have not thought about meditating in a large chunk of time. And so it is just interesting. And I think I need to do some deeper processing around this, my inner dialogue today, and the conversation that comes around it. And I'm okay with that, even though I'm a little uncomfortable with it. And I'm a little uncomfortable that it came up in this space today, but that's what this space is for. And now I feel like I got it all out. And I am grateful for that. So I'm going to do some work on myself. And as always, I talk about most things here in this space. So I'm sure I will have an update eventually. And as I'm navigating just all of it, my spiritual side is something that feels so big. It's like trying to crawl onto, you know what I'm thinking about? I think the show is called Wipeout, where there are those huge ass balls in the water and the people like jump from ball to ball. It's like trying to hang on to like one of those big ass balls and eat it bite by bite, but you're trying to swallow the whole thing at once. And that's impossible. You can't eat the whole ball at once. You have to take it bite by bite. And instead of even taking a bite, I'm jumping on and letting myself just fly off. And I need to slow down a second and allow myself to get onto the ball slowly, so then I can take and eat it bite by bite and get to the other side safely. And that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. I have some amazing spaces that I'm sitting in the next few weeks that will be awesome to bring into this space and to let myself process in. So I know that the timing of that is divine, and I'm going to allow myself to feel into all of it and have grace along the way. I love you deeply, and I'm grateful for this impromptu podcast today that allowed me to tune in and to hear a message that I needed to hear. I hope that you have a beautiful day today, and that you go out and you love loudly, you take up space, and you see that your gifts are worth pursuing, because the divine gifts inside of you are absolutely fucking stunning, and our world needs them. Your mind, body, and soul needs it. I love you. Bye.